Here we go. This is a part two of our last conversation about shortcut to liberation, but this is a blurb that's theoretically short. We'll see how short goes. But how to love people that are difficult to love with with the idea that we were talking about these people that are hard to love are, we didn't say this, but in a lot of ways there are teachers because they're revealing all of our judgments. And those judgments, not the people, are really the thing that keep us separate and suffering and locked out of the Garden of Eden, so to speak. So, how do we love difficult people? To continue that thought.
Well, so I mean, there's degrees of difficulty. I mean, there's Aunt Edith, who's a little annoying, right? You can see, she's got a good heart. That's not so hard. I'm talking about the people I was struggling with were like globalists, the globalists in our country, and without getting into politics, that just are hard for me to love. Let's put it that way, right? So what God pointed out to me was if you've ever watched a like a real good action adventure flick, like the Bond films, or the Mission Impossible,
Hmm.
you always have some really nasty bad guy, right?
Hmm.
But we're watching it, and then when it's over, you can turn to your wife or your spouse and go, "Wow, that actor did a great job." I mean, they really played a nasty villain. And you're grateful to the actor
Hmm.
for making it so believable, right? So that's kind of what God pointed out to me. He goes, listen, in this classroom of choosing between good and evil, I need people to play the bad guys.
Hmm.
Do you want to do it? Like, no, I don't want to do it. Thank you. Well, he said, so be grateful and you can admire when they're playing really, really nasty bad guys. It's like it's actually admirable in a way. It's like, okay, well, God needs somebody to play the role. You are doing an amazing job.
Right.
I I, I can really appreciate how good of a bad guy
That's
you're,
right.
and
I'm totally believing it.
that totally shifted it for me. It's like when I look at it that way, it's like, yeah, I can really appreciate what you're doing. You're you're doing a great job at being a bad guy.
Hmm.
And then it made it easier for me, much
Hmm.
easier, because I think the problem was is I was trying to see the good in them.
Hmm.
And I was really having a hard time seeing the good. You're just despicable. You're a horrible liar, psychopath, cheater, thief. I mean, all the words of things that I consider despicable human characteristics, they have an abundance. So it's really hard to love them. But when
Hmm.
God put it that way, it's like, oh, well, now I'm not trying to push aside the dirt to see the clean spot on the floor.
Hmm.
Now I just appreciate the big old pile of dirt. It's like,
Hmm.
that's quite an amazing pile of dirt.
Hmm.
Right. But we've talked. I think generally, if you're having a very hard time on the quote unquote spiritual path, I think you don't understand it.
Hmm.
Once you understand it, it's very doable. It's when you don't understand it that you're trying to do something that might not even be possible.
Hmm.
Right. So this God brought me the easy way. So now I don't have to struggle so hard to find a clean spot on that big old pile of dirt.
Right.
I can just look at the pile of dirt and go, that's an amazing pile of dirt. Well done. Well
There it
done.
is.
Yeah, well done. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
Right. So that was it. I mean, I guess we could stretch this out to a half, but that's what I was trying to add on to the last one. And that has actually, when I start really wanting to smack these people in the head, I just remember they're doing a great job of being a bad person.
Yeah.
And then it's easy. I can appreciate that. It's like imagine going to a Bond flick and you couldn't find an actor willing to portray the bad guy. Be an
Hmm.
awful Bond flick. Oh,
Yeah.
geez, well, how are you doing? I'm fine. And how are you today? Oh, I'm fine, Money Penny. Okay, so let's go to lunch. All right. Well, good night. Have a nice night. Like curtain comes down.
Yeah.
They want my money back,
By the
right?
way, nothing's happened.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
world is safe.
Anything happening? No, no, nobody's acting up. Everything's fine. So I won't. I'll go on vacation. Call me if anyone shows up. I mean, you'd never go see a Bond flick again. So God is providing. He's providing this drama
Yeah, we love the drama.
as a catalyst, so you can practice keeping your peace, practice trusting God, practice judging even what we consider awful, horrible, evil people. There's still second part of the God tree. All this that is God. Thank you for all of it. It's all God.
Mm.
Thank you for all of it. And which is, by the way, just leads into what I really truly believe is a huge part of liberation is you're no longer pushing anything away. You see God in everything, and your heart continues to radiate at the frequency we call love.
Hmm.
That's part of liberation when you're no longer pushing your creator, the infinite creator, away. I think the analogy is you go on a safari, photographic safari in Africa, and they take you out onto the plains, and you're watching these beautiful little gazelles just kind of bouncing around, and they're so beautiful. And out from behind a tree comes a lion and tears one to pieces, tears it to pieces. Most people are just horrified. Well, that too is God. That's the other side of that equation. So
Mm.
we don't necessarily call it good and evil, but we might be completely horrified by it. But yet, when you see the equivalent human beings, uh, we call them evil, and we want to get rid of them.
Hmm.
But it's still an aspect of creation to provide the drama on this planet to bring us the lessons we need. My teacher would say, he said, if you never taste bitter, how will you know sweet? If you've never seen evil, how would you recognize good or try to do it?
Hmm.
So it's provided for our growth and education. So just as Jesus said, I'm not at all impressed if you love people that love you. Big freaking deal. He goes, I'm asking you to love people that are trying to destroy you. So once again, it goes back to it's a catalyst provided by the creator to practice holding high frequency in all situations,
Hmm.
all people. The only way you can hold high frequency, it's like if you're seeing the lion tearing the gazelle apart, you go, it's part of the whole nature. It's what keeps it balanced. If there are no lions, then the grazers overpopulate and start dying of starvation. So the predators help thin the herd and help the herd become stronger because the stupid ones get eaten, the slow ones get eaten, which helps the genetic strain continue to get better and better and better. So on this planet, God provides those that are doing what we call evil because it gives you a chance to be courageous and stand against it, right? But still keep a loving heart. You stand against it, you resist it, you oppose it, but still continue to see them as a part of God. That's the trick. Because the moment you see them as evil, or dirty, ugly, right? Then you find your vibration. Then your judgment is this is not worthy of God's love. This is not a piece of God. And now you're pushing a part of the creator away and you feel your vibration drop.
The thing that I think it is important to notice, and it gets me all the time, is that my judgments, I can see that my judgments are what create my experience outside of me, like my judgment of someone that I don't like, and then something changes about that same exact person, and now I judge them as someone I do like, right? This either way, it's just like my judgments that it's flavoring my color of glasses. But the thing that I look at the world through, but I miss all the time my own judgments about me. Because I see me just like I see them as separate from me. I see me as separate from everyone. So I'm doing the same thing to this entity, this separate special person called Javon, as I am of my enemy out there, the bad guy. When I'm suffering, right? But when I could see myself as just part of the play, right? I'm part of the character. I'm one of the characters too. They're playing a big great bad guy. Well, I'm playing a whatever. I'm another character. At least Javon is. And then when I can release my judgment about how Javon should be, what Javon should know, how enlightened Javon should be, how patient, all these things that I judge myself that I missed the mark because the character isn't playing that part very well, the spiritual part very well. When I release it, I instantly like my experience kind of rises up. I wasn't not bound to this character that keeps messing up all the time.
Right. So it gets back to that podcast we did on part A to B, going from A to B. And that's a problem. If you just stay in A, it's a slow sludge towards awakening. It's just a slow crawl towards awakening. Whereas if you realize all this stuff that we're talking about, that's all A stuff because it allows you to use your mind in a way that it's not being pulled into lower vibratory rates. But that alone is just it's not really going to do it. But you need to be able to you use that in order to not drop your vibratory rate and then go into part B. I am I am infinite consciousness. I'm infinite love. I'm infinite mercy, having a human experience. So when you're judging, you drop your vibratory rate. So then you can't really take off into part B. You're slogging around in mind exercises. So it's just designed to help you not drop your vibratory rate, but that's only part of it. Then you have to if you haven't dropped your vibratory rate or you raise your vibratory rate, then go spend some time in part B.
Mm.
That's the trick. It's the more time you spend in part B, the more all this starts to dissolve. If you don't spend time in part B, then you're still slogging around in the mind. You're just not letting the mind drop way, way low, where you're becoming hateful or fearful or resentful. That's allowing the vibrational rate to drop really, really low. So now you're kind of experiencing part B, but in a hell type of state, right? Where you just now are just angry all the time, you're just resentful all the time, you're fearful all the time, you're whatever negative state. You're slogging around in a negative beingness. But usually that's accompanied by lots and lots of mind stuff where you're constantly chattering, well, I'm always being treated, it's not fair, or why do I have to suffer? Just mental negative, 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 negative. It's a type of hell. Whereas if you use this technique, it's all God. It's all God everywhere. God is everywhere. God is everything. And I'm grateful for even the difficulties because it allows me to practice shifting it to a higher vibration. But then you have to spend some time in the higher vibration where you go beyond mind, where
Mhm.
am, I am infinite love, having a human experience.
Mhm.
I am, I am infinite awareness. having a David experience. Now, because you haven't shifted way down, it's easier than to pop into high frequency beingness. And that's where the patterns all start getting washed out. Otherwise, you're just going to just keep, I think you go through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, just struggling. I guess it's kind of like you got an airplane and it's on an airfield, and the airfield tends to flood and get really muddy. Well, you're never going to take off that muddy field,
Hmm.
right? So you develop techniques to dry the field off, but then take the airplane up into the air. If all you're doing is keeping the runway dry, you're not getting up in the air. You got, then when it's dry, take that moment, take the plane up for a ride, and then take it where it belongs, up in the sky. So we belong in the sky of beingness. And the more time we spend in that beingness, then the more the patterns, the patterns just start to get weaker, weaker, weaker. Then you're not having to work so hard at seeing the good in people. Your heart naturally just feels that they are a piece of God, and you can appreciate, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Hmm.
Playing a great bad guy. Doing it. Thank you for doing it. Thank God I don't have to do it. It's just an awful way to be. I don't want to do that. I want to
Hmm.
play. I want to play the hero in the movie. I don't want to play the bad guy. Right?
Right.
You had some of these movie stars that would never play bad guys because they didn't want the public to think of them as a bad guy. And then you have these amazing actors that they play anything just because they love the art of acting.
Hmm.
So, I think we need to spend at least some time every day. And it's not even like, it's asking you to really struggle. It's like asking you to feel joyful for a few minutes each day. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
you're such a mean guy to ask me to be joyful. That's what Jesus said. He says, listen, my burden is easy, my yoke is easy and my burden light. So I made
Hmm.
that phrase up. But he's saying, look, you know, just work a little bit at it and it's going to pay off in buckets. I'm not asking you to do something really, really hard. This is easy once you get the hang of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean that's it. And you won't realize that until you actually experiment with it a little bit. And you realize, oh, this feels pretty good. Like I said, it feels like bird getting out of the cage and go, oh, that cage was never where I was meant to be. I was meant to fly through the sky
Hmm.
and in trees.
All right. That was a good stretch.
Yeah, wasn't bad. We got about 18 minutes.
Okay. Thanks for expanding on that.
Yeah,
Until
yeah. So it's just they go together. They go together. It's this is the shortcut method of liberation. The God tree, God who is everywhere, God who is all this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Even for the difficulties, thank you for
Mhm.
thank you for the amazing actor playing the bad guy to give me a chance to practice my loving heart.
Mhm.
Right. And I meditate upon your divine effulgence. God, let me, I am infinite love. I am infinite love, having a human experience. And you feel that love in your heart. That's what, to me, meditate upon your divine effulgence. I keep my awareness on you within me as that joy and as that love and that peace that I feel when I contemplate your everywhere and everything. And then the request is awaken me more and more and more as you see appropriate. But that's what awakening is, beginning to see God in everything and loving everything as a manifestation of your beloved creator, which in the final analysis you are a piece of that.
Mhm.
I'm God, I'm God, I'm no different from God. I'm infinite peace, having a human experience. And that's the shortcut method. And all these other things are just a stuff of understanding tricks to use with your mind in order to make that easier to launch the airplane out into beingness. And the being that you're being is you're experiencing yourself as a part of divinity. And
Mhm.
you see everything else as part of it. So that's the shortcut method, the A to B method. But the Gayatri will do it. God will do it. It's the A part is you're using your mind. God's who's everywhere. But when you feel that, when you contemplate it, you feel that expansion. Now you're starting to shift into be. God, who is everything. Now, thank you. That gratitude now is shifting higher into be. That grateful heart, God, who is everything. Thank you. The gratitude. Now you're starting to, the plane's lifting off the airfield, right? Now you accentuate it is I meditate upon your divine effulgence. I feel you as this joy and peace in my heart. Let me just shift into that. Now that's pure be. And then while you're in that shifted state, just awaken me completely to this, which is the only truth there is. So it's A to B right in the Gayatri. I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. That's if you do that as the third part, right? I am this love I feel. I am this joy I feel in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
I am that love. I am that peace. I am that joy in a human body having a human experience.
Good stuff, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.